Okay, AP Computer Science A, Unit 3. This is just a little supplemental lesson just to kind of help you get ready um, for P3E. So this is kind of helpful for P3E and, of course, future projects. This is the encryption robot. And just as a note, you could, this was, we did this back, I think it was P2E. And it's a Greenfoot program, but you could do it in BlueJ. You could just do this, not worry about all the motion stuff. You could just start from scratch and do this in BlueJ if you want. Okay. You're trying to take a password and kind of rearrange the letters in a way to make it disguised. So encrypt it. And there's some different rules there. Now, at the bottom of it in the assignment, it gives you some different little notes about how to use substring. Of course, you can look these up. Substring is a method in the string class. So this is to help you access letters in a string. So I'm going to give a little, just a little separate example to kind of help show you how this works. Now I'm going to use my name, Vonderheide. Now, Vonderheide is German, and back when I was actually born in Germany, in Nuremberg. It was West Germany at that point. My dad was in the U.S. military. He was stationed on the border, the west side of the border between East and West Germany, West and Communist Germany. And this was when the Berlin Wall was still up, and the rest of it was all barbed wire stuff. So anyways, I was born over there, and also, coincidentally, very German last name and German heritage. I don't have dual citizenship, unfortunately. I'm just U.S. citizen. I was born a U.S. citizen as a child of a military service person. I wonder if I could be president, though, because, I was born out of the country. I thought there's some rule about it. You got to be born in the U.S., not just a U.S. citizen. Anyways, so I thought, let's do a little example using my last name. Originally, my last name was 3 separate words, Vonderheide. Vonderheide is maybe how it would be pronounced. And it was 3 separate words. It's German for from, der is the or of, and Heide is like heather or meadows, or it's kind of a geographical name. Or maybe if you didn't like us, you might say swamp or something, or marsh. But geographic names in Germany at this point were actually more of, this was describing the land you owned, not just the land you lived near on. So I had a professor in college, Dietmar Rimpfer, and he was from Stuttgart, Germany, and very thick German accent. But he told me a bunch about my name I never even knew. It's meant we own land, my family, my ancestors, whatever. That means they were like royalty. And at some point, as the lower classes gained more power and influence, and the upper classes maybe weren't as popular, some of the people with these kinds of names, von der, would drop the von der and just go with Ida. So apparently, I might have a lot of relatives in Germany, distant relatives that just have the name Heide now. Van, by the way, V-A-N, is Dutch. So it's very similar to German, Van der. There's lots of names out there like that. So I'm going to try and separate my name. When we immigrated, my, great grandparents maybe immigrated to New York. I think it probably went through Ellis Island. A lot of names would get changed in the process. So I'm going to use substring to do this. So I'm going to, like, if we had a program, I might create a variable string name and put Vonderheide in it as is. And then I'm going to create another string, and I'm going to call it name split. And for now, we're not going to put anything in it. So if you put it to null, that could cause problems, because there is no string yet. And if I want to add stuff to it and it's not technically a string yet, then that can be a problem. So I don't think I want to use that here because I'm going to use concatenation, add stuff to this. I'm going to build this string up. So I'm going to say, all right, name split equals itself, name split, plus some more stuff here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use substring. So using name, I'm going to do dot substring. And substring will give you letters from a word. It doesn't take them away, doesn't do anything. And strings are a lot like arrays, but they are not. There's not a bunch of characters stored separately. But they are indexed 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For some reason, my memory was thinking I had 11 letters. Anyways, substring. Now, what you do with substring, if you say the first number is where you're going to start, okay? So this is where you're going to start. And then the second number is actually one past where you want to end. So that's a little weird and confusing. So if I want to end here at 2, I actually put 3 here. So one past where you want to end. Okay? And so that would give you VON. And so that's what name split would have in it now. Now, by the way, let me just cross this out and write an even better way, name split. You guys should know this shortcut by now, but when you're going to add something to the thing that it is, plus equals does all of this with that very short notation. So I think that's something that we could take advantage of. I mean, you can do it the other way for sure, but this is a really convenient little shortcut. So this would do the same thing. Now, I want to add a space onto it, and then the next chunk. Now we could, so I'm going to say plus equals, and I'm going to put an empty space. So this has nothing in between it when you first start because you don't want a space there, but this has a space there. Plus, and this is called concatenation when you're adding strings together. So I'm going to add the next chunk, name dot substring, and I'm going to start at 3. Okay, I'm going to start at 3 and end at 5, but I got to go to 6. You just got to know that's the way it works. And then I'm going to do name split plus equals, and I'm going to add another space and name dot substring. And so what I could do is I could say, well, I want to start at 6 and end at 10, so you go to 11, which is a little weird because with arrays that causes bad things. This causes index out of bounds. Here it's fine. If you go one past the end, it's okay. Okay, but there's another way to do this instead of doing substring 611, which totally works, but this is a little more convenient. If you know you're just going to add the whole rest of the word, if you just put one number in there, it just adds the whole rest of the word. So if you just put 1, just put 1, it takes from, spot 6, index 6, all the way to the end of the word. So that's convenient. We couldn't use that on the previous steps because we weren't taking the whole rest of the word, right? But that's another version of substring. So substring actually has multiple versions of itself, and you can do this. We're gonna do this kind of stuff later in this class, and it just like constructors, it bases it off the arguments it give it and then decides which version to use. So if you just give it an integer, it's going to use that one where it starts there and takes the rest of the word. If you give it 2 integers, it's going to start there and end at the spot right before this one. But this works too. This is okay, but this is kind of a slicker version of it. So now if I were to do, system dot out dot print ln, and I put name split in here, it would, the output would be Vonderheide. Now, you'll notice I didn't make any changes to the original word, and that wasn't my intention. You can't change that original string without just recreating it. So you can't just like pull letters out and put letters in. You can't do that. The substring is just telling you what's there and letting you do other stuff with it, but we couldn't actually make changes to the original string. I couldn't insert spaces, in between the letters that were already there. So usually what you do is you create a new string and pull stuff out as you need it and create the new version of it that you want. So anyways, that was just a quick little lesson on a substring. So substring is a very widely used method in the string class. Okay, so we're gonna take advantage of that. The other option here, if you wanted to go to the end, you could have said what name dot length. But if you just said name dot length, it wouldn't take it all the way in. You still have to add. You still have to add. Well, okay, there are 11 letters in my name. I don't know, because we started at 0. There's 11 letters. So actually, yeah, that would actually work just like that. Name dot length could work also if you want to put that in there. The other thing, I could give you guys some help on. It's going to be another. Let's see. We're going to use it on P3H. So we'll do another quick little thing here. P3H, which is a teacher's array list. So first of all, so an array list is like an array. Now, if you're going to use it, you got to put this before at the top of your code. We've done this before with JOpChampagne. Import java.util.array list, and so it's something that you have to import in. So you have to put this at the top of your code. But an array list is like an array, and it has, it's kind of like it's storing things. But the thing about it is that it can change size. So arrays, they have a certain size that you create it right and you can't add or take away spots. But array lists are a lot more dynamic. And so to create an array, I'm going to say array list. You say this, and then you say what's going to be inside of it. Now, the one thing about array lists is they can't hold primitives. They can't hold ints or doubles or Boolean. They can hold objects. Now, there is a little workaround with that. There's something called the integer class and the double class, and it's a capital I and T and a capital D O. So these capital ones, they're called wrapper classes. You don't need to worry about that right now, but we'll talk about those again in the future. But that's one way to treat primitives as objects. But array lists can only hold objects. So then you would give your array list a name, and then to make a new one, you say new, and you say array list, and then again you put what's going to be inside. So if there's strings, you put strings, and then you got to put these empty parentheses afterwards. So this is like a constructor essentially for array lists. So then if you want to add things to this, you could say name dot add. This is what you gotta do. You gotta do dot add. So for arrays, it'd be name bracket 0, right? And you'd put something in like Sam, right? And this one you would do it like this. So little differences between array lists and arrays. If you want to get something out of it or print it out with arrays, you would just say something like system dot out dot println, and then you would just say name bracket 0. So you use these brackets a lot, right? On this one, you'd have to say system dot out dot print ln, and then you'd have to say name dot get, and then the spot, the index. So you have to use this dot get dot add. There are some other other ways to do it. Now, by the way, when you do this, it just adds it on to the end. So at this point, when you first create it, there's nothing there. And then now there's one that just says Sam in it, and that's it. There's no more. So if you added another one, name.add, I'll add my middle name. I don't know, Aaron. Okay, now a new spot gets created, and it has Aaron. So the length of this is changing as it goes. And by the way, to get the length of an array list, you got to do name dot size, not dot length, not okay. So name dot size. And with arrays, it was name dot length, right? And with arrays, the size of it wouldn't change. So you had to have enough room in it. Now, another interesting thing. So as you add these, they just get added on to the end. You can interject one. You could say name.add, and if you give it, actually I think it's a set. Now I'm forgetting right now. Let's see. I think set. And you put the spot you want to put. I think now. Okay, now that's my video. So if you do add and you put the spot, you want to put it like here. This is spot 0 and 1. So if we said 1 and then we put Vonderheide or whatever, what it would do is it would put it there and scoot everything else at that point to the right. So that's kind of interesting. Like it sort of just pushes it in there. Now, if you wanted to actually change what was there in a spot, you'd say set. So if I did this, it would take what was in spot 1 and change it to whatever I was asking. So that's kind of interesting. Now to get rid of something, you could say remove. And if you say remove 1, it's going to remove what's in spot 1 and then move everything back down to the left. So it doesn't leave an empty spot. It takes the thing out and then everything, and then it shrinks. So the array list is getting bigger as you add stuff, smaller as you take stuff out. But those are just some interesting things with array lists: how you created one, how you add stuff, how you take stuff out, how you access stuff. So hopefully that'll help. And okay.